Start with the pledge of allegiance.
Of the states and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the March 2024 Lower Stafford Township Communications Committee meeting. First order of business we have is to approve our minutes from the February 2023 meeting. Before we do that, we do have, well, actually, yes, we have public discussion next. So we're going to approve our minutes from the 2023 meeting. Everybody did receive a copy of those minutes. Everyone had a moment to. It does say 2023, it's 2024, no worries. It does say on the minutes. So we don't have to correct that. But yes, the February 21st, 2024 minutes. Everybody hopefully had a moment to look them over. Are there any suggestions or corrections? Okay, seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the February 21st, 2024 minutes as presented?
I move.
Terry, thank you. Second?
Second.
Dean, all in favor, please indicate saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Now we call attention to public discussion or visitor comments. At this time, anybody is welcome to give a public comment, including members of the committee. Okay, moving on to our old business. Township quick reference guide. As we did go over, we did officially verify version 2 of the Lower Stafford Township quick reference guide. What we did is we double checked all the numbers, all the websites, the contacts, just to make sure that we are up to date. And our next order of business is how we are going to distribute these. We did talk about a couple different ways of distribution. A couple things that have happened in the last month. I know Holly reached out to get these in the kiosk, which we're going to put in our kiosk. We do have them. Are they available in the back yet, in the vestibule, Holly? Yeah.
We've been everywhere for a week. I'm gonna have it all for them.
Excellent, excellent. So we've had them around here, and we also are now having them distributed to locations around businesses around Lower Stafford via the fire inspections. So it's a good way to get these out there into the hands of businesses as well. I know we talked about some other ideas. Do we have any other comments about distributions of these or suggestions? We also talked about now that we have physical copies to go out and distribute them. I have not gone to Indian Valley Library yet, but we did kind of cover that as to who will be distributing them. So I think we can, anybody deliver them yet, or do we want to take copies since they did officially come out this week? I think it's good.
We also got, we have a list of all the people that Bill has gone to for business inspections.
Oh, fantastic.
So we got started the last October. So what we thought to do is grab that list, and everybody on that list that hasn't, or that's already had an inspection, mail them one of these since they missed out. And we just started distributing them. So, but it is gonna be an annual thing. So he's gonna be going every place once a year, you know, all the business stuff.
And it's not all at 1 month as well, so he'll be moving throughout the year, because we're not familiar with that, which is great. It was just great to hear. Get these out there. Hopefully we'll start seeing these appear throughout the township. And of course, if anybody is watching and would like one of these, we do have them available at the township building at any time as well. Any other comments on the distribution of the quick reference guide? Holly, thank you for that update as well.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving on, resident welcome letter packet. I do have some news and an update for the committee. I did present this to the board this morning. This meeting, we had not much discussion. I kind of gave the plug as we did, because as I mentioned, I've kind of given a little teaser about it at previous meetings, so the board were aware. And the comments from this morning is everybody unanimously was okay with the idea to go ahead and start doing it. A couple suggestions we had. One suggestion was to explain maybe a little bit of the history in the beginning of the letter, the chairman's letter. For example, Diamond Shop, which means welcome. Not everybody is familiar with that. So it was a good suggestion. If you're not familiar with what this is, explain what that is. So I can see if Chairman Bergman would like to touch it up a little bit, you know, we could make a suggestion to say it being welcome or anything else, but I'm going to give him that opportunity to do that too. The only other suggestion was to move the township to the top, the township website to the first suggestion. I actually have mine right, excuse me. To move the township website in place of text message alerts. Everybody has a copy of the new resident welcome letter. You can see, so this one right here, moving township website, and that does make sense. That really is the first thing we wanted to take. Other than that, everybody was in favor of it. They like the QR code on the bottom. I drew a little example of how it will look. We don't have the official one, but we want to just make sure that we have the approval. So they're okay with us moving forward with that. I think that's great news. Any questions on?
So do we
That right
want
there.
to, did with quick reference guide, do we want to set a schedule of that? What we're doing? When we will compile the distribution list? And when we expect to get the first?
Exactly. I think that's a great idea there, particularly, what month are we going to designate to go through? When do we want to do that? That will help us, I think, future meetings. Clearly, if we have something on the agenda, we know, oh, we're going to have to cover this too. We'll make that appropriate there. So I think that's a great conversation we can start to have here. Let's think about what we know. We were thinking, and I mentioned to the board as well, 3 months, we would kind of look at the new distribution. We use the points that we want to hit them before all the other, and any other resource does. And, there are other resources out there and available with information about the community, but coming from us personally, it's a great start there. So I think we could break it up every 3 months. How would we like to do that, starting in maybe? If we started, so hypothetically, if we had to start this in January, would we want to do that in the January month when we reorganize, or save it for February? That's what I'm open to discussion. So if we did start in January, we could do it hypothetically at our next one as well.
So we're doing it 4 times a year usually.
I think we could do that. I think that is what we said, every kind of 3 months to make sure we get something out there. So that's question 2, Jess, entirely, do we want to do it 4 times a year? Everything is completely open at this point. Could also, again, I don't want to delay it too much, but again, I think it's important to try to knuckle down, some dates here, and maybe then devote a meeting to, okay, now that we have this on the agenda, we know it's coming up, what are we going to do? I guess, so the first question could be, how many times do we want to distribute a year? Saying is, if we don't have a specific date, what do we want to do it? That's a great question. 3 times, 4 times?
I would say that's less important than just getting the first one out.
Okay.
And let's go through the process, get the first one out. Right?
See how long
That
it
will
takes.
also give you an idea of how easy or hard it is to get it out. Right? I mean, whether we're looking at any issues. Right? And then you can decide, okay,
Great point.
from that point, are you going 3 months or 6 months? In terms of getting it out, we had talked about the list from the county, right? Holly, the list you got from.
Yeah, we're doing another one today.
Okay,
They actually did a 6-month, because you can determine.
Right.
Sales dates. So I did it from August 1st to February 1st, 6 months. Got 128. Quite a few of them are $1, so that that's just a transfer, maybe of name or a change of something. Quite a few of them don't have any addresses at all, which means they're vacant land. So, yeah,
so
this is something it's just Lower Sulphur. So you don't have to go through and figure out, is it Lower Sulphur, is it not?
100%.
It's all within our boundaries. I think it's a really good resource and it's free.
there's flashing lights behind you,
What's behind me?
flashing.
Well, I don't think that's the docking area right there, so.
Everyone. So,
Sort of the goose that trying to find one day.
so that list, and we had talked about also running, purchasing the list, right? And do we review those lists offline between now and the next meeting and come to the next meeting with what we think should be scratched or eliminated or revisions to that list and plan on coming out of the next meeting with the list or.
This is super
That was-
easy. We do multiple all the time. So it's something that I can easily put this into an Excel spreadsheet.
Mhm.
I can create mail merge. And I can just print them all out. You know, we can all take our time, you know, folding them and putting them in envelopes and.
Happy to
get them out the
do
door.
that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's something, like I said, it's something we need time.
But that was, right,
That's what I was gonna say. There was something that we had that we felt it was best to use both. And what was it that wasn't covered? Was it rent?
I think
it was new rentals, right? And that's the benefit of.
we changed that.
And this doesn't get rentals.
No worries. And I did mention the price to the board. And yeah, obviously said with our packet, the cost of postage should be lower than than other options as well. That's a great point. So I think using that in this, back to what you said, John, do we want to do that offline? Or do we want to do it here? I think I'd be more okay doing it here, keeping that information here as well. You know, that's something that we could kind of just sit through and kind of just go through quickly. If it's 5 pages, there's 5 of us to do 1 page. If we're not familiar, we could pick it up right at the moment as well. I think it might be better rather than doing that offline. Time wise, you know, I don't know, maybe we try it once and we say, oh, no. But again, I'm open to other suggestions with that as well. I think another question we would have then, so that's 128 right there, that's 6 months. How far back for our first time do we want to go? Do we want to go back 6 months? Obviously, they've never received a welcome letter from the township yet. Or are we thinking now, because 6 months ago was last year, that might be too much of a, oh, now you're welcoming me? What is the group's take on that?
Well, I think anyone who's a new resident, a relatively new resident, is gonna realize that this. New programs and new things start all the time. If you proceed at the starting point,
We can do it once a quarter,
yeah,
and that can just become part of by regular routine.
yeah, yeah.
Beginning of January or April, you know, and once a quarter, just run the dates, and that's not going to have the apartments, like,
Right.
you know.
And that's why I was saying if we were to do that, then our next meeting hypothetically would be, if having started in January, we would be doing it again in April, which keep us on schedule.
Are there months where? Especially with regular mailings or other things, and so we shouldn't
We don't want to do that.
be away from it and do
You
this.
never know, someone could walk in the front door tomorrow with the zoning change, and say, we've got to send it out, you know what I'm saying? We don't know.
Well, what about the scheduled newsletters and
Um,
publications and things like that? Are they?
newsletters are always, like I'm starting newsletters this week, so like the process, obviously, I don't have everything in you, so it's March. For the May newsletter, when that comes up, so I usually take from March until April to get all that information together, and then they do everything, and it's off of my desk and it's onto somebody else's. And then the fall winter newsletter, I usually start that in September. But honestly, this is not. It's not burdensome, let's put it that way. It's one of those things that I can easily get into my schedule.
Yeah, but it, understand, but
But you're
as long
thinking
as long as
about-
we're starting a sequence,
We have to,
if we can avoid, no, we should avoid March because you tend to have other things going on in March, then.
we have that opportunity
Right,
now, right?
right.
It's a very,
The other thing is too, new residents are gonna get a newsletter. So the newsletter is hopefully mailed before Memorial Day and before Thanksgiving. Those are the 2 targets that we shoot for. So, you know, sending new resident packet out, could be redundant for some people if it's in that time frame. It's up to you guys. I'll do whatever you need me to do.
I still like it going out, I think, if you get both, I see it as that personal touch, and so look at that, they're reaching out to me, and they have a newsletter,
Right.
you know, that's. If I'm a new resident, that would be the way I would take that. I do agree, some of the information there can be redundant, because it is all in that newsletter, we know, but it's another way that someone might just take that time, you know, as we discussed there. So,
So if we target our April meeting, and with the assumption that they would go out by mid-May,
We'll know that for sure, I think, with our first trial as well, I
Right.
could get an idea, but I would think so. Cause we are mid-April, so by about a month later. That sounds,
and if it's really easy, then theoretically within a couple of weeks, I mean, if in the April meeting, we all agree on the list, the packet itself is already defined, right? So then it's just a matter of,
It'll take us 1 or 2 days to
Right.
get them out.
or theoretically, if we do it in the April meeting, that they should be out by the end of April, which then puts it kind of at least a month ahead of the newsletter.
yeah, I say, so, if we have agreement here, I think we're all kind of on the same page by the nods too. That next month, we should really devote, let's get these started, let's have an objective of getting to that. So we should figure out everything tonight just to make sure, but I'm excited about that idea. Everybody is in agreement with that? Any other thoughts or contributions to that idea of getting them out, working on that on April?
I think it's a good idea. My only thought was on the, like, going through the addresses.
Okay,
We do it manually. That's like a very manual process and for you. If we could do it in Excel and have it. Do you know what I mean? I just,
yes, it does make.
I don't want to waste your time.
Say that again.
Like, if we go through it in Excel, like, rather
And
than
I guess that's me.
manually in here and everything would be easier.
I was, that, my opinion is that it should be done at some time offline than in here, because it could be cumbersome, you don't know. You start going through, oh, you know, or that type of thing. We send out, Act 537 letters every year to over 400 people who have on-lot septic systems. And it's a state law, you have to have your septic system certified, reviewed, looked at, pumped once every 3 years. It's so cumbersome trying to get, we have a system, like it's in our, we have a tracer system that allows us to put things in when we get them. But you would, it's amazing how the system wants to pull in vacant lots and the whole 9 yards. We have to go through and sift through all of them and try to get it to be much more streamlined with Tracer, but it's still sometimes quite cumbersome. So, but that's every year in like June or July, we try to get those out. But yeah, that's like, you start to go through, you think, oh, this will be easy, I'll just slap an envelope. Well, oh, I just slapped the exact same label on that envelope. It's the same person. Why are they here twice? You know, that type of thing. That kind of stuff starts to happen. Because there's even one in here, like I was looking at them today. These people have this thing, same name, same address, and they're in here twice. It's like, what's that?
And
I think there's a, what you're saying. Kind of the rough, you know, if you had it in Excel spreadsheet, like you said, you immediately get rid of all the $0 ones and all the duplicate addresses and all that stuff. You get rid of all that stuff. But yeah, but I think there's a final review that you have to at least eyeball it and say, okay, does this stuff look good?
Right.
And
And I mean, so hypothetically, if we had a list like that, go through, cross out, then just go right to the computer, like before we leave, delete, stuff like that as well. I don't know, I'm open to either way with that. If you think there is if we could do it offline, it would be easier that way. Let's do that. One question to John real quick, the lead space thing, when we had all those, were they in an Excel spreadsheet?
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. Yeah,
and so Holly, I mean, a week before our next meeting, can you go through it and do that rough cut, get rid of all those $0? Okay, so,
Yeah.
so what comes to the meeting from that list is at least a relatively cleaned up list, right? And then the leads plus, do you want me to run? Or do you? or
That I
you
wanted
you
to-
good?
And I might
Do
have
I
to
need
check
to-
that with might have to
For
check
the
that
general
show.
Unless you wanted something to me to be familiar with, then I need to figure that out.
Because, you know, well, would he be able to do it and be reimbursed then? How would that then have to talk to, right? That's what I was saying. He'd have to talk to our manager to see what would be the appropriate way to do that. But obviously, you know, the township is incurring that. We could check that before, right? As soon as possible, that's just how we do it. But once we get that list, continue that.
But then the same thing, so if I run that list, at least this, I think, long term, and as I do it this time, I can take screenshots and write it up so that. Have something to go in the future. But I would do the same thing, right? Take that list, do the rough cut, get rid of the stuff that obviously doesn't belong there, right? And so we have that at the meeting also. And then it's just a matter of eyeballing what's left for reasonableness. And
And then probably comparing it. to
Is
the-
it practical? Or even possible, this is thinking out loud. To provide all this information for new member packets to. Like the main office of a rental property so that they can just, I'm sure they hand new people stuff. Like, here's your keys, here's your signed lease. I mean. Would we trust them to say, here's your new member or new resident packet? Do you know what I'm saying? I'm just afraid we're going to this rental people because. There's some people that will be there like a month, gone again.
what's the idea? So if we went to 100, do we stuff 200, right? And have. The same package without an address that we can leave to some of these places to hand out as new residents come on.
And that's a great point. One of the things that led us to, at least the idea of the newsletter or new welcome packet was the discussions that from, I know it was Montgomery Woods, that I know they were putting this in their packet. I believe between took that as well, you know, they're excited at the idea to have something. Yes, people are excited. It just, I think it comes down to, will they get it? Yes, maybe. If they get it in the mail, is it that more personal touch? That's just a matter of what we're trying to achieve here. I mean, I'm okay getting it into their hands any which way. It costs even better, but.
I like your last statement, get it in their hands, regardless of how it gets there.
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
Whether
That's,
it's through the mail or somebody at a desk hands it to them. The message is still the same.
particularly if they would have copies and we could keep them. In their possession, you know, each time, so they have a new resident. I guess that would come down to, we find out which residential facilities would be willing to do something like that, so, oh, absolutely, boom, we cross that off. And then we could go through the list and take them out, fortunately, it'll all be the same address, you know, so it'll be easier to find. And I guess we could do the same thing then. Like, if they don't, then we just keep that in mind and proceed with sending them, that's definitely one way we could look at this. That's something that we can just decide right now, or even when we look at the list, maybe. I think going into April, before we send them out, looking at that list, we'll have a better understanding if there's 3 people, if there's
Yeah.
100 people, I don't know, and.
And I think this time, the first time, it's less of an issue because you're looking at kind of the historical period. The people, those rentals that we would be mailing
That's true, they're
have
not
already come through the
Yes.
rental process, right?
true,
So they're not gonna get something handed to them by someone, it would only be in the mail.
so I think for now, yes, we definitely stick with that break point. However, we should take note how many they have, because, yeah, we get it in their hands and cutting as little cost as possible too. It helps us all, everybody, right?
Right, so in April, May, June, July, in July, if we did this again, and Montgomery Woods has said that they will hand them out. Then when we look at the mailing list, we're just scratching off anything in Montgomery Woods.
I think that's perfect. So that's one way we'll do this, so for next month. I will have an answer for you, Don. It's Wednesday, so hopefully by the end of the week, I can just call Joe, and he should have an idea, our manager, and he will, through the appropriate way of how we can get this. And whether township buys it, just prints it out for us, sends it to you, however that works, but. We'll have you then scratch them out, which we appreciate. Holly will have that next one. And I guess we'll have an idea of how many people we'll have too, because we don't know at that point. The other things we want to do, which I want to, not forget to mention again, is I will reach out to Chairman Bergman to tweak up the letter. We'll probably have time, we will have 2 work session meetings, so my guess is that I can share it with the board just to kind of get the final, yes, this looks good. Writing that down well. And also, we will finalize our letter by getting the township website where the text message alerts is, and just kind of moving everything else down. Everybody okay with that? Well, and the QR codes on the bottom, so we'll touch up, Rob. So hopefully, then by next time, we'll have this on the letterhead, so we can all see what it looks like prior to the meeting, and we'll be ready to go from there. Hopefully we can send an email copy just so everybody can see it one more time as well.
How far back do you want me to search for 3 months, January?
That's what I was, literally wrote down again, how far back, I think we have to, that's a great question. Wanna go with it?
Go with, expect to go going forward.
Which would be then like 3 weeks, 3 months.
So January 1st to March 31st?
That makes it
Sorry.
perfect, thank you. We'll do the same as well. And that works, it really fits the narrative of starting this year, officially, so. Well, that's great, everybody. Next steps, we schedule first distribution. I think we can confirm that all next month, covered our next steps. Hopefully, if all goes well, we should be able to just distribute right after our next meeting. Right. Wonderful. Any other comments or questions on this welcome letter? All right, again, I just want to thank everybody for all their work on this and all the research that we've applied to this. Everybody's did a great job, and I'm really excited that we're moving on with this. Thank you, everybody. Okay, moving on, offsite meeting, venue letter, draft letter review. The idea of this is to reach out to, as we've talked about, now we're only saying residential facilities, but some are apartments, other living areas where people might have an opportunity to host our communications committee meeting. The hope is that we can go to those sites, reach new people who might not have access to the internet or have access to making these township meetings in person, so they can get an idea and offer some suggestions to our committee. So hopefully everybody has the letter draft that we have here. And had a moment to look it over. We did talk about a few things with this last time. Do we have any comments? Anybody want to start this?
One correction.
Go for it.
Sorry.
No, please, no sorries for this.
Second paragraph, the communication committee should be an S on committee. Committee's objective.
Very good. These.
And after meetings typically consist of, should that be colon, not a period?
Probably.
Good point, colon. I think just for the X's would be our communication committee email. Please contact us in that. Thank you, Terry. They're great points there. I don't have any other issues with this. I know we have the X's on the bottom. I'm okay signing this as the Lower Shocker Communication Committee. So I know we have those X's, but I don't know if we planned on anything else in there, but is everybody okay with that? Sure. Just taking out the X's and leaving it as is.
Well, definitely take out the exit.
But we want to put some O's in there as well. other than that, it's those, I think this looks pretty good and. If possible, then I think the next, well, before we go on the next steps, any other questions or comments on this
How are we gonna approach the deer
approach
on the,
with the access?
yeah,
Good question, and I was almost ready to say deer, deer, pheasant, and deer, but we're not gonna do that. The better
deer,
option would be deer.
lower South
manager,
Township?
perhaps,
Oh, well,
or deer.
so who are we sending these to?
I think, now I do have, actually, literally, have them on me, all the different, where I keep them, the different cards of the manager and whatnot, so. Different names are resident service, there's property manager. Property manager might be the
Yeah.
better one. Property manager, so yeah, I think property manager might be the best. Good point there. In my mind, I was just labeling each, I was labeling. Deer horseback, deer. Property manager. Okay. Any other comments?
Okay.
Yes, please.
Decided whether to call and ask for. That paragraph, please contact us at. Whether we need to ask for.
We were going to put the communication. The communicate, good point though, we're gonna put the communications at lowersalfordtownship.org. What specific? Not a phone number. No, I don't. I think if they respond, we can then reach out to them and kind of go from there. I think that was the
And
idea.
is somebody periodically checking that email?
Yes,
Okay,
we have.
Yeah, they come into us.
I did it, okay.
We double checked it.
Everything else.
So should it say, please contact at the internet address below? Communications at lowersalfordtownship.org
We.
instead of the
Instead of
X.
just inserting it there. We could do that as well. And another thing too. I mean, there's only really like. There's probably a dozen, less than a dozen, so. If they called the township, we could say somebody will reach out to you possibly as well. I mean, I don't want to necessarily put that burden, but hi, we're calling in regards to this. Oh, sure, thank you. You know what? We'll get right back to you and just reach out right to us and we'll go from there as well. If we want to give them that option. And for me, I don't know how the property managers prefer, but again, an email, that way we know they're interested. We can call, be prepared for the questions as well. I'm okay with either one there.
What all is on the letterhead? Since this will be on,
The letterhead has the phone, does have the phone number, and I believe the standard township email, actually, it's right on. Is it on our QR code? No, it's not, that's not the same letterhead. Do you know what else is on the letterhead? This
Field,
phone numbers.
I think our website, the website at the bottom. Website, phone number, fax number.
Okay, so yeah, there is a number on there as well, but I don't think we'd have to put it on there, but if somebody were to call for that purpose. So
let's kind of encourage them to email while they're listing this, but. The phone number, if somebody really wanted to call, the phone number will be in the letter.
that works for me. And back to what Dean was saying, do we want to say at the bottom or put it twice? Please contact us at communications@lowersalfordtownship.org if you are interested, and then at the bottom, keep it the same.
yeah,
I'm okay. with it.
I'm all for having it in at least twice,
I would put it in.
so that somebody isn't searching through the letter again.
Right.
Fine.
And then back to John's point there, that's, in my mind, if I saw that twice, oh, that must be the preferred.
That's a big 10 point as well.
Okay. So this X will just say our email,
Meaning the communication.
communications at
Okay.
lowersalfordtownship.org. Any other questions on that? Well, if we can get this then fixed, we can put this on letterhead and we could probably get this mailed out between now and next month. Again, there's only a few that we're gonna reach out and not it. Well, I mean, we're reaching out to all of them, but not as many, there's not as many as 128. Any other questions or comments on this?
And you're providing the mail to addresses or who they're going to, or?
Yes, I had written down, I know, but it was the same, it will be the same standards. I can share that with everybody as well. All of bless you. All of our living facilities within the township. Any questions on that? Very good, everybody. One more task done, and then we'll stay tuned to know where we'll be meeting next. Now, I will say, if anybody's watching this, we will be here next month. But in the future, we hope to move off-site. Okay, on to D, our new resident website, or we don't have a new resident website landing. We did discuss the idea of having, maybe updating our. We could update our welcome letter, which is easy just to add, once we do our package, to add a different QR code that might be specific for new residents. The one thing we discussed at our last meeting is encourage, thanks, and colleague gave the suggestion to look up at the Hatfield Township resident guide. They have a great, we have in front of us a great list of contents that you can click. If you go through it, they have pictures of the police, pictures of, their commissions, I believe they're commissioners. Excuse me. So it's a great way for residents to look at that. We also discussed the idea of doing a little bit of research on our own as well, and just kind of checking out various townships and seeing what kind of dedicated paid they have as well. That said, hopefully, anybody get a chance to look at Hatfields and any comments they want to share with that as well.
Very thorough.
Yes.
I almost thought it was
Too much.
I agree.
Mhm.
Almost like a manual.
Yeah,
that you're
yeah.
reading.
Right.
That's a good point. I wasn't coming in with that said, but that's a great, it did seem very cumbersome. A couple I looked at just, from Google, started looking at local ones. There aren't a lot, I've noticed, but I did notice, and I printed out for everybody, just a few that I wanted to point out. I did write some notes. A Newtown Township, I noticed they just have a welcome letter from their board of supervisors with links to the side. They had a dedicated one. I don't think I printed anything with that. Lower Murray Township had a welcome letter from the manager with subcategories of structure of township government, such as the structure of the township government, township secretary office, but just had links to the agendas and budgets. I did provide a Lower Murray, as you can see down there as well. Some examples. Lower Murray had a welcome letter from the manager. There's the structure of the township, and they have a new resident welcome pack as well, and that there's some information on there. I looked at Upper Merion, which is on the same one, also has a new resident welcome packet. Theirs was updated 2024, and they have various links there. Concord Township, not necessarily anything different, but what they had was a large banner at the top of it that just said welcome. You can see a welcome mat on it, and it really did make it kind of look unique. And it stood out to me compared to all the other websites, which just had welcome. Doylestown, I found Doylestown had a very interesting thing. They had a whole page, and you can kind of see a snippet of it with a welcome packet. What they had that really stood out is they also had a welcome to Doylestown Township video. And it literally was presented as a public service program to new residents. First thing it started off with, they actually used a local teacher. This person was not on the township, but it was just somebody who volunteered to do the program for them. And I believe the school district helped them with that as well. All volunteer. And within it, they starts off with the local teacher welcoming everyone and saying, if you're a new resident or a longtime local, I'm excited to show you everything we have to offer. And it was 24 minutes. It covered everything from flag, the parks that we have. You can see some of the pictures have the teacher standing there, but a lot of it was just pictures, a picture of the office. There's the office here. If you have questions for this, just another way to reach people. And I thought that was interesting. The one thing that I found with Doylestown, though, is after I found it and thought, oh, let me go back to it, take some pictures, I couldn't find it off their website. So I don't know if they have I'm sure it's on there with some digging, but after about 2 minutes, I got frustrated and went back to my history and was able to find it again. And I found it originally just by clicking, some Google things, I was trying to find welcome landing pages, new welcome township, etc. So maybe that's as John was mentioning, here's a link that takes you right here. I'm not sure, but it seems like a wealth of information that wasn't overloaded, as you can see. You click the department and it goes right to it. Most of these that I found were all kind of redundant, so I didn't put them all on there. Many of them just said, welcome new residents, and then just had the standard links on the website that they already had the information. Some of them did that, I think, well, where it looks like, oh, I didn't notice this, even though it's right there. It seems like it was easier to see. And I don't mean it mockingly, it's just, I would do the same thing, like, oh, okay. Other ones I felt were too crowded or really didn't do anything distinguishable. And that's why I put a picture of, I think it was Concord Township, just the only distinguishable thing they did different was a welcome mat. And it was, oh, look at this one, and oh, that's all it is, but it still caught my attention there. So that's different various things I found. It gives us, I think, and I'm open to hear what everybody else has, but for me, I like the different ideas, the different ways we can go, and even with, having a school teacher speak, I know we talked early on. Yeah, if you notice, there's QR codes on some of the construction signs, and I try to, and again, our public works is a great team here for public works, not for entertainment. So I had a discussion and said, hey, you should get on video, but found a great video that residents go to, and the complaints, not so much complaints, but people call, hey, what's going on? The inquiries definitely dropped down because now people have that access and they know what's happening. So finding somebody to do the video is what I was getting at, might be tricky, but if that's something we could look into the future, I'd never thought of the idea of maybe reaching out to some school district kids who might live right in Lower Stafford, they work on the
Scout project.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what I was thinking, and just the idea is something that we could explore as well. Future as a completely different way of reaching.
I
Well,
like the idea of video. I think 24 minutes is way too.
yeah,
long.
I agree with that. Again. Or
Commercials, it's like a TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was, it was a lot with that. However,
Well,
I was, and if you want to go to this, yes. Yeah,
that's like, here's the-
Offers, I know we talked about that before too. Okay, what does this mean? Click this. Oh, how do I get a deck permit? Well, click this, and even if we had a student or something saying, well, get a permit or a scout. Here are different ways you can do this. Did you know you need a permit for this or that? It's educational and just a different way to do ideas. That's what I found. Everything else kind of, not many had, and if they do have welcome things, now that I can conclude with how I couldn't find Doylestown link, and it might be right there. I might have been missing it, but if I'm missing it, other people could be missing it as well. I really was trying to find it. I know this was Doylestown. I've looking at all these tips. And so, I think this is just another different options that we can do, but a lot of them were pretty much the same or nothing on there as well.
just as like a newer resident, I don't feel like you needed a new resident page. I feel like the website is very good. Everything is easy to find. Like, I don't know, I don't want to smash the idea if everyone likes it, but I don't feel like it's missing,
Yeah, that's a great point. There is.
in my view.
No, I like that. I like that perspective as well. And I share that too. I think one of the things that we were originally talking about, some of these have gone. I kind of went around looking like, oh, what's the welcome? Kind of on the idea of Hatfield, but even broken down more.
Yeah.
If we did something, here's what we have. You have this option, this option, this option, and as I saw many of them, even the simple up here. Welcome, new residents, click here,
Right.
If we had a specific welcome packet, that would be something, and that's something I think that. As I said, there's a couple here where we have Upper Marion has welcome packets, Doylestown, I saw, there's many things that have the welcome packets. That's something that we can
Yeah.
explore in the future as well, and kind of do that in conjunction maybe with the website, or leave it alone, because you're right, if we get people to the website, that's really hard for them. But these are just other ideas that we could do down the line as well. I think I like the idea of, what we were talking about too, is trying to see how many people would come to that specifically
Yeah.
too, that would be
Yeah,
helpful for our end to know if our work is working,
Yeah.
our efforts, or we should focus on another direction. And that's something we can find too, but somebody could just, whether somebody clicked it there or through a QR code, these are things that we can discuss
Right.
down the line as well.
Mm.
But I appreciate you pointing that out as well, and that's something that we need to decide. Is that something, you know, looking at these websites, feel better with that? Does it overload for some of them? Yes.
Some of them look a little dense.
Some of the overloads, I think, could all, as I say it out loud now, could all be condensed into a packet. It's just like click here for everything. It's essentially some of those, like Hatfields was a packet. You know, it's a lot of information. It would make it great, sure. You know, I think it looks great, and there's a lot of great information in there. But again, you don't want to lose people before they scroll down too far.
And we shouldn't be redundant either if it's on the
Right.
webpage. I mean, there's no need to put in the new resident.
Right.
I'm not sure I agree with that. It may get you to the same thing. But, and I kind of agree that it may not be something that you need, but it feels like something you should have. And to have a new resident page, and, even if you don't think it's needed, and even if that new resident page made use of stuff that was already on the website, right? But just to have something that you can, you know, label as a new resident page. I feel
Yeah, I'm not
like
opposed to that. I just think it's not good use of space and time to
Agree with
have the
that.
same thing in the new resident that they can get from the regular website.
what do you mean by space and time?
Space on the website, like, then it would be like very cluttered too, like, almost like Hatfield is like too much. That then becomes overwhelming. But if they're going to the main website, any page anyway, click on for the new resident, they'll have all the information on the main website. But I'm in agreement, I think there should be like a welcome page, but just not be redundant in everything that's on the main
Right,
page.
like if there's like,
Right,
almost like what we put in the welcome letter, the
Yes.
QR codes, like if there's just one QR code, it takes you to the new page and then there's those 3 links and then
Right.
whatever the other stuff
Exactly.
was.
And that's kind of what I was thinking too, like, again, we don't necessarily have to reinvent anything, and there's a couple ways we could do that, I think. To what Terry's saying, I like what Hatfield has, had it been just stopped here.
right.
And
Right.
click to the different links. And, you know, I get Jess is saying as well, do we have our thing? One idea too that I want to throw out, so you can see we have welcome to the manager, there was other ones that said welcome from their commissioners, and, you know, it wasn't signed by anybody particular, there was other ones like welcome to the chair. Why not, if we were to have, let's just simply have what we already are sending out to people, here's a copy of this, here's a copy of that, and then have those links instead of the
Right.
QR, click here, click here. That way you would have the chairman's letter, so I'm a new resident. I do like having it on the website. John, you make a good point, you know, oh, this is here, and you know, this is easier to see, but if I were to go to a website, and I'm thinking too more like my younger brothers, sisters, you know, the moving in, something like that, they're busy, and you know, I'm busy with my kids as well, whatever it might be. Obviously, I guess I'm more, in my capacity, I'm more curious about the websites of a township. As I say it, I'm like, oh, they wouldn't care, but you know, I get it. What I would do is if I went to a website though, I would assume if I see new residents, oh, that's me, click this. That's just gonna catch my.
Just the fact that there's a new resident thing is welcoming.
Exactly, and then it comes back to like this one with the welcome mat. That's a personal touch. It doesn't, you know, something a little different. This isn't, you know, stock photo, banner, welcome, but it's those little things. And, you know, Holly, to give you, you know, to shout out to Holly too, let's take the Halloween things, whatever you have. It's not just that, you do take an image, but it's something that captures that moment where it's like, oh, this is important. What's this? These are some trick or treaters here. There's information on what to do for Halloween. Here's something over here. Oh, okay. And I think it does catch people's eye, and it makes it feel more personal in that aesthetic way too. So these are all great.
It also can be very evolutionary.
Yeah,
You can start with a couple of links on a page, like you said, just take the letter and put it up there theoretically, and but, you know, I love the idea of videos.
yeah, I think
Yeah, I like the
And
videos.
multiple, you know,
Yeah.
short videos.
down the line, that's
Right, but I think that's a great,
that stuff. I mean, we have the YouTube as well. That was kind of one of the catalysts we said we could have on the background. well, we didn't know how to approach that too, you know, we find there's a lot of information that explains. Everyday things in a second class township, what we do, and they're great. Most of them then though are put up on YouTube by law firms or engineering people that are, you know, and good kudos to them so they can explain their thing, but we can't put something up there that has brought to you by, that's, you know, has to be more, and there's great ones that are like, for example, Doylestown might say, hey, did you know this, but it's Doylestown, you know, ain't something for us.
But from a new resident aspect, the new resident has not seen the things.
Yes,
They
yeah.
have not seen all the parks, they have not
That's
seen
true.
all the walking trails, they have not seen
Have-
the various venues, they have not seen the golf course, right? And to give them those short clips, they
Yeah.
give them that visualization of the township before they have had a chance to actually do them themselves, I think it's a great idea.
I mean, I did watch the 24 minutes, but not watch the 24 minutes, I'm like, skip ahead, skip ahead, skip ahead. However, you know, breezing through, so you can see the thumbnail, and yeah, exactly what you said, it wasn't just this, it was, we have a great school district, here's our schools here. Did you know we have this, we also have, you know, and then they were promoting Bucks County as well with that too, but you know, it's also saying, come visit us. You know, so the outsiders, look at that park, let's go down here. And yeah, I mean, just pictures of the history, here's a flag, here's how we started, did you know this is what the township building is, and it literally said. Come, you know, we encourage you to come get the welcome packet, while you're here, you'll meet our staff. And I wrote that down, yes, it's a great opportunity to see the wonderful people who help. Was one of the things, you know, so it's just little things like that, that was, I really liked about it. And I think so, not to get too far off that, that's something definitely we want to put on the agenda for future discussion, and we. You know, we could reach out to
Not
them.
me.
What's that? Not April, we got down, April, we have a good agenda here. And we don't, and that's a great point, I don't think we should put anything else really on the agenda, that's not a lot for April. However, I want everybody to keep ideas, because we might, I don't think we'll work through it, but we don't know the timing of how long that would take. But back to the website landing page, in conclusion, I think. We could probably bring this up again and, you know, see how we want to do it, but I would encourage everybody to look at the websites, you know, the Doylestown video, the other ones, and just do a little bit of research too. And kind of get an idea, I think in the future, we should decide what we want to do with that. Whether we want to just have, really, I think it's better to wait too, when we have officially the letter from the chairman and all that, so what if we decide, hey, we like this. I think theoretically, we should just put up what we have for now, and as John said, it can evolve, you know, you can have this, it's great. Great conversation, well, great ideas, this is what we do best, I think, with this committee is brainstorm and come up with different things. Any other comments on the new resident website landing? Is everybody okay with exploring this again with this information? To our new business, which don't have any new business for tonight, but I think we were okay with next month's agenda of officially getting our resident welcome letter packet off and running, and then hopefully distributing within the next couple weeks, definitely be out. We also will get out our offsite meeting venue solicitation letter, saying solicitation letter, but that is what we're doing, our offsite meeting suggestion letter to our various residential facilities in our township as well. We'll have that out, and hopefully we'll have stuff to report on that next month as well. Moving on, I guess we have one more public comment, if anybody has anything else they want to add. Just want to thank everybody again for very excited about. We're in wheels in motion for next month. It should be a lot of fun to kind of get that going, and thank you all for your hard work on it. With that, I think it brings us to our final. We have a motion to adjourn. Terry, and second.
Second.
Dean, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, thank you, Holly. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
And,
Holly.
I just, our next meeting, we didn't officially say, but our next meeting will be as scheduled. Third Wednesday of the month.